Have you ever looked at an animal and thought, how on earth did that happen? Nature is full of bizarre and wonderful creatures. But what if I told you there was one animal so strange, so utterly baffling, that for decades, scientists were convinced it was a hoax? A creature that broke all the rules of evolution. This is the story of a beast that shouldn't have existed. But somehow, it did. Our story begins in the 19th century, a golden age for fossil hunting. Paleontologists were unearthing incredible skeletons of dinosaurs and other prehistoric giants, piecing together the history of life on Earth. But amidst the T-Rexes and Triceratops, a different kind of mystery was emerging from the shale deposits of Europe and North America. It was a fossil, but not like any other. It had the long, slender body of a lizard, a whip-like tail, and what looked like ... wings. But not bird wings. Not bat wings. These were bizarre, elongated forefingers, stretched out to support a membrane of skin. They called it the pterosaur, the winged lizard. At first, the scientific community was in an uproar. What was this thing? The leading anatomist of the day, Georges Cuvier, was one of the first to seriously study it. He saw the reptilian features but was stumped by the wings. Some of his contemporaries proposed it was a bizarre swimming creature, using its wings as giant flippers. Others suggested it was some kind of freakish bat lizard hybrid. The very idea of a flying reptile seemed impossible, a contradiction in terms. Reptiles were supposed to be cold-blooded, sluggish crawlers, bound to the earth. The energy and metabolic power needed for flight, that was for the birds, literally. For years, the pterosaur remained an evolutionary enigma. It was a creature out of time, a puzzle piece that didn't fit anywhere. How could a reptile fly? The discovery of more and more pterosaur fossils only deepened the mystery. They came in all shapes and sizes, from the sparrow-sized Aneurognathus to the colossal Quetzalcoatlus, a creature with a wingspan of over 36 feet, the size of a small airplane. This wasn't just a one-off fluke. This was an entire order of flying reptiles that dominated the skies for over 150 million years, far longer than birds have existed. The more we learned, the more questions we had. Their bones were hollow, like a bird's, to reduce weight, but they were still reptilian bones. They had large optic lobes in their brains, suggesting keen eyesight, essential for a flying predator. And most baffling of all were their wings. Unlike a bird's wing, which is made of many feathers supported by a fused arm and hand bones, the pterosaur wing was a single, continuous sheet of skin stretched over one ridiculously long finger. How could something so seemingly fragile be strong enough to support a creature the size of a giraffe in the air? It was a biomechanical nightmare. It just shouldn't have worked. For a long time, the prevailing image of pterosaurs was that of awkward, clumsy gliders. Scientists imagined them struggling to get airborne, perhaps by climbing cliffs and launching themselves into the wind, soaring precariously until they had to land. The idea of them taking off from a flat surface was considered impossible. They were seen as an evolutionary dead end, a failed experiment in flight that was eventually outcompeted by the more efficient and elegant birds. But then, technology gave us a new window into the past. Using advanced computer modeling and biomechanical analysis, scientists started to re-examine the pterosaur. They scanned the fossils, created digital skeletons, and ran simulations. And what they found turned everything we thought we knew on its head. Far from being clumsy gliders, pterosaurs were masterful aviators. The simulations showed that their unique wing structure was incredibly sophisticated. The skin membrane wasn't just simple skin. It was reinforced with a complex network of muscle fibers called actinofibrils. allowing the pterosaur to change the shape and stiffness of its wing in mid-flight, giving it a level of control that would make a modern fighter jet pilot jealous. And the takeoff problem? The biggest mystery of all. The answer was hidden in their anatomy all along. Unlike birds, which use a two-legged jump to get airborne, pterosaurs used a four-limbed launch. They were quadrupeds. They would crouch down, using the immense power in both their folded wings and their legs, to vault themselves into the air in a single, explosive movement. It was a brutally efficient, powerful launch mechanism, allowing even the largest Quetzalcoatlus to take off from a standstill in less than a second. It was a solution to flight that nature never repeated. Even more incredible was the discovery of For years, we assumed these reptiles were covered in scales. But under powerful microscopes, paleontologists found evidence of a fine, hair-like fuzz covering their bodies. These weren't feathers, but a unique covering that likely served as insulation. This strongly suggests that pterosaurs were not the sluggish, cold-blooded reptiles we imagined. To power flight, they had to have a high-performance warm-blooded metabolism, another trait that they shouldn't have had but clearly did. So, here we have a creature that looks like a reptile, but flies like a bird, launches like a vampire bat, and has a warm-blooded metabolism all its own. It's not a direct ancestor of birds or bats. It's a completely separate, parallel experiment in evolution that achieved powered flight millions of years before anything else. The pterosaur wasn't an evolutionary mistake. It was a resounding success, a dynasty of aerial sovereigns that ruled the Mesozoic skies. They weren't just weird dragons. They were one of the most remarkable and sophisticated groups of animals ever to exist. They challenge our neat and tidy classifications of life. They force us to rethink what's possible. The pterosaur is the ultimate proof that evolution doesn't follow a straight line. It's a wild, creative, and often bizarre process that can produce creatures more fantastic than anything we could ever imagine. A creature that shouldn't have existed, but did, and in doing so, rewrote the rules of life on Earth. So the next time you see a bird in the sky, remember the first true masters of the air, the magnificent and impossible winged lizards. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into one of history's greatest biological mysteries. It just goes to show you that the truth is often stranger than fiction. If you enjoyed this journey, please hit that like button, and consider subscribing for more stories that challenge what you think you know. We'll see you in the next one.